Hey there, this is lesson 2 on the play series. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to teach your dog to stay on the dog bed once they go onto the dog bed. Okay, so at this point, your dog should be going onto the bed nice and easy once you give the verbal command place or show them the hand signal. Okay, so now we're going to start the stay. So I'll show you how this works. As before, place. Good. And we can go ahead and feed there. We are in the early stage of the training, so I'm not fading the food out quite yet. Now you're going to give the command stay. Now watch what happens once I move away. Guinness is probably going to come off the bed. Stay. I'm going to mark it with a Okay, you can use whatever you want. It should be just a different type of tone than the word good. So watch how I do this. Stay. So notice what I did there is I got in front of Guinness. So I kind of moved my body over and herded him back to the bed. I do have a leash on, and you can use this leash if you need to. Sometimes I will, but you want to try to avoid it as much as possible. If you avoid it now, it's going to make an easier transition when you're ready to go completely off leash. So he's off the bed here. I'm going to put him back. Stay. Back away. Now that time, because I corrected him earlier, he's staying. Now I'm going to go back and I am going to feed him. Good. Stay. Good. Stay. As he gets better with the stay, I am going to practice increasing my distance away from him and increasing the length of time he can stay on the bed. Okay, so I'm going to start walking around. Anytime Guinness comes off the bed, I'm going to quickly move him back to the bed. All right, so let's see, practice a few things, see if he breaks. And notice that I'm going to put him back to the bed. That time I did grab his collar. I did toss that food reward a little bit too close, but you can see how to correct the dog. So if the dog comes off, you're going to physically take them back, tell them to stay, have them stay for a short period of time, and then you're going to come in and feed. Good. And then we have our release command. All right, the release command I'm going to be using with Guinness is just the word okay. Other common release commands are all done, you're through, free. You can use whatever you like. Just make sure that you are consistent and the whole family is consistent with this. Now, so what I'm going to do is release him. Okay. He seems to like that one. So I just say the word okay, and then I get my body moving. You may have to encourage your dog to come off the bed, especially if you've put them back a few times. So we're going to try this again. Place. Stay. Now we are going to tell the dog to stay. You can practice kneeling down. Anything that may cause your dog to break, you want to start to practice. Okay? At this stage in lesson 2, you're going to be practicing in relatively low distraction, so I wouldn't practice quite yet with someone coming to the door or other dogs in the room. We're going to start off making it pretty easy for him because I want to build up his confidence with this. Good. So in the early stages in this lesson, you may be feeding every 5 to 10 seconds, possibly every 30 seconds. If your dog keeps coming off, you want to feed more often. All right. You will slowly increase the amount of time in between the rewards over the next week. So right now I may be feeding every minute with Guinness. In a few days or in a week, I'll expand those rewards out to every 5 or every 10 minutes. So depending on your dog, you may be able to move pretty quick, or you may have to take it back and feed fairly often in the initial stages. Once again, the release, okay. And that lets the dog know that they can come off. Excuse me. So start practicing the stay aspect with your dog and work up to, once you get up to around a minute or two, then you want to start increasing that time up to 5 or 10 minutes. So really work hard over this next week in getting your dog to understand that they have to stay on the dog bed without moving until you give that release command. And make sure you're really nice and crisp on giving that release command. It shouldn't be good dog or anything like that. It should be either okay, or free, or you're through. Something along those lines, and you want to say it with a pretty excited tone. I do want to go over something that I do see a lot of clients make the mistake of, is when they tell the dog to go to the bed and they feed here, good, stay, they tell the dog to stay, and then what happens, the dog will come off the bed, and sometimes the client will go back and feed the dog in order to get them back on. So for instance, if he came off, a lot of times people make the mistake of going, and then feeding the dog again when they correct the mistake on the stay. And what this will create is the dog learning that if they come off the bed, the only consequence is going to be you getting up, taking the dog back to the bed and feeding them. So they will actually learn to come off the bed in order to receive the food. So anytime the dog comes off the bed, it should be take the dog back, tell them to stay, back away, and then once they stay for a period of time, then you can reward. Good. And then release. Okay. All right, so this is lesson 2 on the play series. Start working with your dog, and I will see you in another lesson.